Kabina Adebayo built his life around order, wealth, and absolute calm. Inside his high walls, everything moved the way he wanted. Guards spoke softly, doors closed gently, and even footsteps felt careful. For him, quiet was not comfort but power. Any sound he did not approve of felt like disrespect. His house was not just a home, it was a symbol of control. And everyone inside it understood that rule without being told. Among the workers was a man who came only after sunset. Tavangan Dlova trimmed plants, watered flowers, and cleaned paths while the family slept. No one greeted him, and no one asked his name. To the household, he was part of the background, like soil or stone. He kept his head down and finished his duties before dawn, carrying years of hardship in his silence. One late evening, while the air was cool and the lights were dim, a sound floated through the trees. It was a human voice, low and heavy with emotion. The melody held sadness, longing, and strength all at once. It reached Kabina's window and stopped him in place. This was not careless noise. It felt like a story being told without words. At first, irritation rose in his chest. Then something unexpected followed. Instead of calling security, he stayed still and listened. The voice spoke of loss and endurance in a way money could not buy. Hidden in the shadows, Kabina felt memories he had buried begin to stir. The next day, his children laughed about the night song, making cruel jokes about poverty and worth. Kabina said nothing, but their words settled heavily in his mind. Quietly, he began to look into the life of the man behind the sound. What he found shocked him. Tavanga once led choirs, trained voices, and dreamed big until a tragic accident destroyed his workplace and future. Soon after, respected music professionals were invited to the estate under a strange request. Tavanga was called forward, shaking but obedient. When he sang, the space froze. No one spoke. No one moved. The song ended, leaving raw emotion hanging in the air. Kabina stood and made a choice that changed everything. He announced support that would lift Tavanga back to the world he lost. In that moment, the family learned a truth they would never forget. Great gifts often hide where pride refuses to look. His night gardener, Tavangan Dlovu, works silently after sunset, unseen and ignored by everyone. Each evening, when lights dim and voices fade, he enters the large compound with worn tools and tired hands. He moves carefully between flowers and trees, fixing what the day damaged. No one thanks him. No one notices when he leaves. For the family, he is just another worker who blends into darkness. Late one night, while trimming hedges under the moonlight, Tavanga softly lets out a song. He does not plan it. The sound rises from deep pain he has carried for years. His voice is heavy, emotional, and honest. It flows through the garden, passing walls and windows, carrying a story of struggle, broken dreams, and survival. Inside the mansion, the billionaire owner hears it. At first, his body tightens with anger. He hates sounds he does not allow. He is used to commanding silence with money and fear. But this time, something stops him. Instead of shouting or calling guards, he listens. The voice pulls him closer, line by line, filling the quiet with feeling he has not felt in years. Hidden behind curtains, he watches the man singing while working. There is no show, no audience, only truth. The song sounds like loss mixed with hope. Curiosity replaces irritation. The billionaire wants to understand how such a powerful sound comes from someone so overlooked. The next day, his children laugh about the singing. They joke cruelly, calling it worthless noise. Their words are sharp and careless. The billionaire stays quiet, but inside something shifts. That night, he asks questions and discovers a past no one knew. Tavanga once trained voices, led groups, and lived for music until an accident took everything away, forcing him into survival work. Days later, famous music experts arrive at the house, confused by the invitation. Tavanga is brought before them, nervous and unsure. When asked to sing, his hands shake, but his voice does not fail. The moment sound fills the room, conversation dies. Faces change. Eyes widen. No one interrupts. When the song ends, silence feels heavy. The billionaire stands and makes a decision that shocks his family and staff. He announces support, opportunity, and a fresh beginning for the gardener. The house learns a lesson money never taught them. Talent does not disappear because life is unfair. Sometimes, it only waits for someone willing to truly listen. Late one evening, While the large house rested in calm, Kabina suddenly noticed a sound rising from outside. It was a strong human voice carrying heavy feeling. The tone moved slowly through the trees, filled with sorrow, strength, and hidden beauty. It did not sound planned or polished. It felt real, as if someone was releasing years of pain into the quiet air. His first reaction was irritation. He valued order and disliked anything that disturbed his peace. He almost reached for his phone to call security. Then he stopped. Something about the sound held him still. The voice did not beg for attention, yet it demanded it. Each note carried truth that money could not control. Kabina walked closer to the window and listened carefully. The singing came again, richer this time. It spoke of loss without words and hope without promise. Kabina felt memories rise inside him, moments he had buried under success and pride. He realized the voice belonged to the night worker, the man no one spoke to. Instead of anger, curiosity grew. He stayed there longer than he expected, letting the sound wash over him. The following morning, his children laughed loudly at breakfast. They joked about the song they heard and made cruel comments about people who work with their hands. Their laughter felt sharp and careless. Kabina watched them closely, seeing a reflection of coldness he once admired. He said nothing, but their words stayed with him all day. Later, he quietly asked questions about the gardener. What he learned surprised him deeply. The man once lived for music, guiding others, teaching voices, and leading groups with pride. A sudden disaster destroyed that life, leaving him with nothing but survival work and broken dreams. A few days later, Kabina invited well-known music professionals to his home under a strange request. When the gardener was brought before them, fear showed on his face. He did not understand why he was there. When asked to sing, his body trembled, but his voice remained steady and full. As the sound filled the room, conversation stopped. No one moved. The experts exchanged looks of shock. The final note faded, leaving silence thicker than sound. Kabina stood up and made an announcement that stunned everyone present. He offered support, training, and a chance to return to a forgotten gift. That night, the mansion felt different. The family learned a lesson that wealth never taught them. True value often hides where people refuse to look. All it takes is one person willing to listen. Instead of firing the gardener, Kabina hides and listens, allowing the sound to flow freely through the quiet night. He stands still near the window, holding his breath as the voice rises and falls. It is not a perfect performance, yet it feels powerful. Every tone seems to carry a long journey of struggle, dreams delayed, and strength that refused to die. The music reaches a place inside him he thought was long empty. Minutes pass, but he does not move away. The sound feels honest, almost brave. Kabina begins to wonder how someone working in shadows could hold such depth. He feels something close to respect, a feeling he rarely gives. That night, sleep comes slowly, because the voice stays with him, repeating in his mind like an unfinished story. The next morning, the dining room fills with careless laughter. His children talk about the night sound as if it were a joke. They make harsh comments, calling it annoying and worthless. Kabina watches their faces, noticing how easily people dismiss what they do not understand. Their words bother him more than the singing ever did. Later that day, curiosity pushes him to ask quiet questions. He learns that the man once lived a very different life. Music shaped his days, guiding others, building harmony, and giving meaning to his existence. Then disaster struck without warning. Everything he built collapsed, forcing him into survival mode, working under the moon instead of standing under lights. A plan slowly forms in Kabina's mind. He invites respected music experts to his home, offering no clear reason. When the gardener is called inside, confusion and fear fill his eyes. He feels small in the large room, surrounded by people who look important. When asked to sing, his hands shake, but he closes his eyes and begins. The sound fills the space with emotion so strong it silences every thought. The experts sit frozen. Some lean forward, others hold their breath. The final note fades, leaving a heavy stillness that feels sacred. No one rushes to speak. Kabina stands and makes a choice that changes the mood of the room. He announces support, opportunity, and a fresh beginning. Gasps fill the air. His family cannot believe what they hear. The gardener's life shifts in that moment, not because of luck, but because someone finally paid attention. From that day, the mansion holds a new understanding. Worth is not defined by position or clothes. Sometimes, the greatest gifts live in quiet places, waiting for someone brave enough to truly listen. Kabina's children mock the singer, laughing loudly and turning the moment into a joke. They repeat the sound in a rude way, calling it useless and embarrassing. To them, the voice belongs to someone without value, someone meant to stay hidden in the background. They believe wealth decides importance, and anything outside that world deserves no respect. They speak freely, not knowing their father hears every word. Kabina sits quietly, saying nothing. His face remains calm, but inside his thoughts are heavy. The laughter feels sharp, not playful. He realizes how easily comfort can turn into cruelty. The same sound that touched something deep within him now shows him something ugly about his own home. He listens carefully, not only to their words, but to what those words reveal. That evening, he cannot forget the tone of the song, or the way his children dismissed it. The contrast troubles him. One voice carried truth and struggle, while the others carried pride and ignorance. He begins to see how power has shaped their thinking, teaching them to judge without understanding. This realization stays with him long after the conversation ends. Quietly, Kabina starts asking questions. He does not announce his interest or explain himself. Piece by piece, he learns about the man behind the sound. He discovers a past filled with music, leadership, and dreams that once inspired others. A sudden tragedy destroyed that life, leaving scars that never healed. Survival replaced passion, and silence replaced applause. Days later, visitors arrive at the mansion, dressed sharply and carrying confidence. They are respected in the music world, though they do not know why they were invited. The gardener is brought inside, confused and nervous. The room feels tense as eyes turn toward him. He feels out of place, but he is asked to share his voice. When he begins, the mood changes instantly. The sound fills the space with emotion so real it becomes impossible to ignore. Conversations stop. Smiles disappear. Every listener feels something shift inside. The final note fades, leaving a silence that feels heavy and honest. Kabina stands up slowly. His children look at him, unsure of what comes next. With a steady voice, he announces a decision that shocks everyone. He chooses to support the singer's return to music, offering resources and belief. In that moment, mockery turns into regret. The lesson lands hard. True worth is not measured by status or wealth. Sometimes, the most powerful voices come from places people refuse to respect. Quietly, Kabina begins to uncover the truth about the gardener's past. He does not ask directly or involve his family. Instead, he listens, searches, and connects small details. What he finds surprises him deeply. Tavanga did not always live in shadows or work with soil and tools. There was a time when his life was shaped by music, discipline, and respect. Years earlier, Tavanga stood in front of groups, guiding voices with confidence. He taught people how to breathe, how to feel, and how to sing together as one. Music was not a hobby for him, it was his identity. He believed sound could heal pain and bring people closer. Those days were filled with purpose and pride, not silence. Then everything changed in a single moment. A violent accident at an industrial site destroyed more than buildings. Lives were lost, dreams were crushed, and futures disappeared overnight. Tavanga survived, but nothing else remained. His work ended, his savings vanished, and his path collapsed without warning. Recovery was slow, and hope became fragile. With no support and many responsibilities, he accepted any job that allowed him to survive. Over time, music faded into memory. Singing became something he did only when no one was watching, usually under the stars, while working through exhaustion. What once brought applause now brought pain, so he hid it in the dark. As Kabina learns these details, something shifts inside him. He realizes the voice he heard was not random. It was the echo of a life interrupted. He thinks about how easily people judge without knowing the story behind a person. The discovery weighs heavily on him. He begins to observe Tavanga differently. The careful way he works, the discipline in his movements, the respect he shows even when ignored. These small things now make sense. They come from years of leadership and loss, not weakness. Kabina decides to take a quiet step forward. He arranges a private gathering with respected figures from the music world, giving no explanation. When Tavanga is invited inside, Fear and confusion fill his eyes. He expects punishment, not opportunity. When he is asked to sing, hesitation fills the room. Then his voice rises, steady and strong, carrying everything he lost and everything he survived. The listeners are stunned. No one speaks. The moment feels powerful and real. In that silence, Kabina understands something important. Great ability does not disappear when life turns cruel. It waits patiently, hoping someone will care enough to notice. Carefully, the wealthy owner plans a quiet gathering at his large home. Well-known music experts receive invitations without clear reason. They arrive curious, dress sharply, expecting business or entertainment. None of them imagine the real purpose behind the meeting. The house feels tense, filled with soft conversation and polite smiles. Later, the gardener is called inside. He walks slowly, unsure why he is there. His clothes are simple, his posture respectful. He feels small standing among people who seem important. Fear sits in his chest because workers are rarely invited into such spaces. He expects trouble, not opportunity. The room grows still when the owner looks at him and makes a simple request. No long speech. No explanation. Just a moment that changes everything. The gardener's hands shake. His throat feels dry. He has not shared his voice openly for many years. Memories rush back, both painful and warm. He closes his eyes and begins. The sound that rises is deep and full of feeling. It carries loss, strength, and survival. Each note feels honest, shaped by years of silence and struggle. The air changes instantly. Conversations stop. Every ear focuses on the sound filling the space. The experts exchange looks of shock. Some lean forward. Others forget to breathe. This is not a trained show meant to impress. It is real emotion, raw and powerful. The voice tells a story without words, reaching places skill alone cannot touch. As the final sound fades, no one speaks. The quiet feels heavy, almost sacred. A few seconds pass like minutes. The gardener opens his eyes, unsure if he did something wrong. He waits, ready to apologize. Then the owner stands. His voice is calm but firm. He speaks about second chances, hidden gifts, and the danger of judging people by position. He announces support, guidance, and resources to help the singer return to the world he lost. Gasps fill the room. The family is stunned. The experts nod slowly, understanding the value of what they just witnessed. The gardener feels his knees weaken, not from fear, but from hope. Tears threaten his eyes, though he tries to stay strong. That evening changes the house forever. The walls that once held pride now hold humility. Everyone present learns a powerful truth. Great talent can survive hardship, neglect, and pain. All it needs is one moment and one person willing to believe. When Tavanga finishes singing, the sound slowly fades into the air, leaving the room completely still. No one claps. No one moves. The silence feels heavy, deep, and full of emotion. Faces that once showed confidence now look shocked. Even the trained listeners, people who judge voices for a living, cannot find words. They sit frozen, trying to understand what they just felt. Tavanga lowers his head, unsure what the quiet means. His heart beats fast. For a moment, fear returns. He wonders if he embarrassed himself or crossed a line. He keeps his hands close to his body, ready to be told to leave. Years of being ignored have taught him to expect nothing good. The wealthy man watches everything closely. He sees the tight jaws, wide eyes, and slow breaths around the room. This reaction tells him more than applause ever could. The song did not just sound good. It touched something real. It broke through pride, training, and status in a way money never could. One of the experts shifts slightly, opening his mouth, then closing it again. Another wipes his eyes quietly, hoping no one notices. They have heard thousands of voices, but this one carries truth shaped by loss and survival. It cannot be measured by rules or technique alone. The silence stretches longer, making the moment even stronger. Tavanga finally lifts his eyes. He sees something he never expected. Respect. Not pity. Not surprise. Real respect. The kind that recognizes value without explanation. Slowly, the billionaire stands up. His movement breaks the stillness, but the feeling remains. He speaks calmly about how life can bury great gifts under pain and hard work. He talks about how easy it is to ignore people when they wear simple clothes or hold simple jobs. He then announces his decision clearly. Support will be given. Training will return. Opportunities will open. The room fills with soft gasps and whispers. Tavanga feels his legs weaken, not from fear this time, but from relief. Hope, something he buried long ago, rises again. The experts nod in agreement. They understand they witnessed something rare. The family sits quietly, absorbing the lesson unfolding before them. That silence after the song becomes unforgettable. It teaches everyone present a powerful truth. Sometimes, the loudest message comes after the sound ends. Kabina announces Tavanga is no longer a gardener. The words echo through the mansion, surprising everyone. His children gape in disbelief, unable to hide their shock. Staff exchange whispered glances, unsure if they heard correctly. The man who spent years unseen, working quietly in the dark, is suddenly given a chance to shine. The change feels impossible, yet undeniable. Kabina explains that talent cannot be measured by position, clothing, or background. He speaks of second chances, of hidden gifts waiting for someone to notice. Then he reveals that Tavanga will receive full support to return to music. Money, training, and opportunities will now be his, publicly and openly. It is not a private favor, it is a statement. Everyone in the room understands the power behind it. Tavanga stands frozen, tears threatening his eyes. For years, he thought his life had ended, that music belonged only to the past. Now everything shifts in a single moment. The hands that once pruned hedges and watered flowers will soon conduct choirs, perform in halls, and teach others as he once did. Relief and disbelief mix into a strange, joyful feeling that he cannot fully explain. The children frown, their earlier laughter gone. They cannot hide the lesson sinking in. Respect is not earned through wealth alone. Some gifts are buried in silence, and only a watchful eye can unearth them. The family learns humility as they watch Tavanga, realizing they judged too quickly, too harshly. News spreads quickly. Friends, neighbors, and professionals hear about the gardener's transformation. People who never noticed him before now admire his talent. His story becomes a symbol, proof that life can change unexpectedly, and that greatness often lives where no one is looking. The mansion, once filled with quiet pride and control, now resonates with hope, inspiration, and renewed energy. Tavanga's first days of this new life are filled with excitement and nervousness. He meets mentors, rehearses tirelessly, and reconnects with the music he once thought was lost. Each note he sings reminds him of the journey that brought him here. The darkness, the struggle, and finally, recognition. Kabina watches quietly, satisfied that he made the right choice. The family begins to understand a powerful truth. Talent can survive pain, hardship, and neglect. Sometimes all it takes is one person willing to see beyond appearances. Tavanga's rise becomes a story that inspires everyone who hears it, teaching that hope, patience, and opportunity can change lives in ways no one expects. Kabina teaches his family a hard truth. Talent can live in dirt, pain, and silence, if someone chooses to listen. He calls them together in the living room, where light falls softly on polished floors and expensive furniture. His children sit quietly, unsure what lesson will come, while staff look on curiously. The billionaire's voice is calm but firm, carrying weight beyond wealth. He begins by telling the story of Tavanga, the gardener who no one noticed for years. He explains how a single song in the quiet of the night revealed a gift that had survived tragedy, loss, and neglect. He speaks about how easily people dismiss what they do not see, how quickly they judge without understanding, and how dangerous pride can be. Each word is deliberate, shaping a lesson that is hard to forget. The family listens, some with surprise, others with shame. They remember their laughter, their cruel jokes about the singer's voice, and suddenly feel the weight of their ignorance. Kabina does not accuse or yell. He simply shows them the truth through action. Tavanga, once invisible, now has a life full of possibility, all because someone chose to notice him. The lesson is clear. Greatness can hide anywhere, and the eye must look beyond appearances to find it. He emphasizes that opportunity is not always equal. Many people live with talent that remains unseen, trapped by circumstance, fear, or neglect. He urges his children to learn humility, to respect effort and passion, no matter where it comes from. His voice softens as he speaks of courage, resilience, and the value of patience. Even a humble life can carry extraordinary skill if given the chance. The room is quiet, the message sinking in slowly. Eyes that once judged now reflect thought and contemplation. The staff, who had always felt small in the mansion, feel a quiet sense of pride, witnessing how recognition and support can change someone's entire world. They understand, without words, that respect and kindness are more powerful than wealth or status. Finally, Kabina concludes by reminding them that listening is as important as speaking. True understanding requires attention, care, and the willingness to see beyond the surface. The lesson lingers, leaving a mark that will not fade. In that moment, the mansion feels different, not just a place of control, but a place where value, talent, and humanity are recognized, even in the quietest corners. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing African tales. Hit the bell so you never miss a story that will inspire and surprise you.